you know, match racing as we know it, when I started match racing, we didn't have a thing called the dial-up. So I think match racing's been an evolving thing for a period of time. You know, it used to be, we'd chase Dennis Connor around, and he was the master of the time run at the leeward end. You know, before computers and angles and bits and pieces, you know, he used to bring dust up in the leeward corner with great regularity. You know, in modern day, you know, we had the dial-up, we saw, you know, and the circles and all of that it's changed as the rules have changed. We saw, you know, when the two big multi-hulls came, you know, we had dial-ups and, you know, sort of probably a little bit terrifying, but it's hard to, you know, to say. We are looking at the rules for America's Cup sailing. The rights of the boats will change. There's a lot of rules in the current rules are not really relevant to these high-speed multi-hulls. We're trying to very much simplify it so that there's less rules that are clearer and more understandable. How all that develops and is turned into match racing, I'm sure it's going to change. The fact that, you know, we're not going to have tacking jewels of boats tacking every 40 seconds when they've got to top speed and, you know, literally left, right, jab fist fights that, you know, are hard work but generally didn't result in much lead changing. We will see different styles. I think you'll see probably a lot more overtaking around the marks. I think you'll see more overtaking downwind. You'll probably see courses more orientated to downwind and opportunity. So, sure, it's going to be different to what we're going to see out here today. But it is, once again, it's one team against another team, and one winner. As Peter Reggio said to me, he said, "I love match racing because 50% of your competitors are happy with it."
Most sports have their 2011 diaries firmly in place, and in fact going through longer than that. When do you expect to have even the dates, never mind the venues, known? Who is responsible for delivering those dates? And are you worrying about clashing with obviously lots of other things which are already in the diary?
Well, maybe I can handle that. You're right. I mean, the sporting diary actually, not only for next year, but for the next 3 or 4 years, is pretty firmly fixed. I mean, in the end, you know, whatever happens, you'd be competing with certain dates and certain sporting events because the sporting calendar is already very crowded. Worried? Not really. I mean, we're in, let's say, advanced discussions with, you know, a number of clear potential venues for next year's calendar. We're aiming now at 5 events in the year of 2011, starting, as Iain said before, in ideally June, July. We have our, you know, ideal calendar, we have our ideal set of venues, and if we can conclude those negotiations to bring all those things together, of course that would be a great step forwards. We will inevitably clash with some other, you know, serious competitions in the sporting environment. Actually, 2011 is not so bad in the sense that there is no Olympic Games, there is no World Cup, there is no European Football Championships, there is the Formula One circuit, there is major tennis tournaments, those things are always there.
So including the other sailing events.
Well, also that, yes, of course, but yeah, I think our ambition is achievable, you know, to by the end of let's say January, to have a very clear picture on what the calendar is and what all those venues are. Negotiations are always complicated, difficult, and challenging until the point they're done, in which case everybody smiles and shakes hands and says it was quite straightforward. But I think we'll meet that challenge. End of January.
Richard, you were talking about TV interest. Do you expect to TV rights next year for the World Series or only for the America's Cup?
Well, again, it's ambition is the big thing at this stage, and maybe, I mean, to go back a little bit to how many teams, how many venues. I mean, the commercial relationships here are pretty simple, especially in a time of, let's say, financial difficulty or austerity. But for us, the commercial power is created by the number of teams. So if, as Iain said, we could get 8 to 10 teams, we'd be thrilled, because that's a critical mass to make a dramatic event. Now, for teams to come in, they need to find sponsorship, and they need to find sometimes benefactors, but never mind, they need to find funding. If that funding comes from sponsorship, the sponsors need to know, okay, I'll invest in this because I have a team that I'm convinced by, but also I need to know what's my broadcast landscape, where's my name going to be seen, where am I going to be appreciated. So that from the team then relies on the sponsor, who relies on the broadcast network. And to go back to what we would like to create, it is a series of quality events with integrity, with authenticity, which pays tribute to the heritage of the America's Cup, even in a new World Series environment. And my conviction is, yes, 2011 might be a little bit early to convince all broadcasters worldwide to suddenly on day one start showing live sailing on a Sunday afternoon or whatever it might be. But if we get the picture right and the product offering right, there will be some who will be convinced because either they have a team, or they have a venue, or they have long-term expectation that something will work. That I think we will see a growth in the broadcast interest from middle of next year to eventually the final match of the America's Cup 2013. Do I expect to have sold all possible television rights by the middle of next year? No, realistically. But can we expect a good story for the broadcast networks? If we're smart enough and are successful enough, we'll deliver quite some good things, I think, even by the middle of next year.
What kind of feedback are you getting from potential competitors and registered competitors in these kind of meetings like we had yesterday? So how collaborative the process is in the development of these events?
Well, it's we held three workshops yesterday. We had the media workshop, which was run by Richard's team, the Event Authority, and that is, and that ran for 3-4 hours, and then broke out into separate groups. And that's to help, for the Event Authority to explain what the product is, where they're going, and to help the individual syndicates. There was great participation, and I think there's very good working relationships with the teams, and the research that has been done on previous America's Cups, and Richard might talk about some of the research that's been done. But from our competitor briefing, I think the competitors are happy. They can see where we're going. They understand the process, and at the end of the day, there's not that many questions. The competitor forum that we held last night, which is for the registered competitors, it was our first forum meeting. It only lasted 1 hour. We spoke about a number of, drilling down more into the detail of racing, timings, potential changes, housekeeping, and that's a regular thing that will be ongoing with the communication with the competitors going forward. Won't necessarily be a meeting, but certainly, it's something in the short term will be happening every 2 weeks.
I think one interesting thing about those potential competitor discussions is, we see it as our kind of responsibility to assist the teams to come into the competition. I mean, just to say the entry period is open 1st of November, it'll close on the 31st of March. Good luck, hope you all turn up is not enough. And we see that we have to give them the tools to go out and find the funding, go and find the sponsorship, go and find the right discussion points to encourage the support they need to be not only entering but competitive as well. So, you know, we are, as Iain says, putting together all sorts of tools really, in terms of presentation documents, in terms of historical information, in terms of what is the vision for the next 3 years of events, so that they feel fully armed when they're going to their sponsor potentials to make the right argument. So it's not a good luck, hope you succeed. It's very much a partnership of, if we can help more teams to come in and be competitive and be helping the drama of the event, everybody wins actually. So we're taking that responsibility very seriously.